The latest figures show retail sales rose more than expected in October, partly because Americans were buying more cars.
It is another positive sign in a year of recovery for the auto industry. Business and economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis talked with Ford Executive Vice President Mark Fields, and she joins us now to talk about that.
Hey guys, good morning. And one of the reasons we care about retail sales is obviously the consumer is at the heart of the American economy. Our spending accounts for 70% of our economic growth. And one of those cars that is selling right now is the Ford Escape. It is on track for a record year. More than 200,000 of them have been sold in 2011. And today, Ford is debuting a new model, and we got a sneak peek.
Ford unveils the new model today, but there's a lot more than profitability riding on the launch.
So this car is going to be made in Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
And how many jobs are we talking about here?
Well, we're actually putting on 2 shifts initially, so you're talking about 2,900 jobs. And then by the end of next year, depending upon demand, we'll add another shift, so it's another 1,600 jobs. So it's really a big commitment.
In total, Ford plans to add 12,000 new jobs in the U.S. over the next 4 years. But it might come as a surprise where the jobs are coming from.
A number of those jobs, we're bringing them back from China, from Mexico, and Japan.
So are you saying then you're shrinking workforces overseas and growing the workforce here?
Well, we're growing the workforce here, and in many cases, we're taking work back from suppliers that we did on the outside. So we're able to bring that back into Ford, bring it back here into the U.S.
And Ford is not alone. Detroit's Big Three are all adding jobs this year. Sales are up across the board, and the industry is on track to sell more than 13 million cars to U.S. consumers this year.
Where do you think we are in the overall economic recovery?
Well, clearly we still face economic challenges. This year we're seeing growth in the GDP of anywhere between 1.5% and 2%. Not as big a growth as we expect coming out of such a deep recession, but it is growth nonetheless.
The worst is behind us.
Well, for the most part, unless there's some big external impact to the economy, we feel we're going to continue to see gradual growth.
I asked Fields what he meant by some big external impact to the economy. He said it could be something like, for example, that Japan earthquake that hit earlier this year. It hit the car industry particularly hard because a lot of the supplies that come from Japan to U.S. automakers were disrupted. However, Ford, he told me, has put the worst of that behind it. Obviously, there's still the human toll that we think about.
The car that's being debuted today that we saw a quick glimpse of, that's the Ford.
That's the Ford Escape, the 2013 version. It goes on sale in June of next year, and right now they don't have pricing on it, but right now it's somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000.
I mean, he mentioned in that interview with you, and you pressed him on a little bit, moving some jobs back. So literally, I mean, is this one for one? How does that work out?
That's the question, because they're not being very specific yet on what those jobs could be. But it's an interesting point that Ford gets some of its parts that it puts into its cars from foreign suppliers, and he was saying that those foreign suppliers, well, we may actually be able to source the material from U.S. suppliers and also do some of it internally at Ford right here in the United States. That would equate to new jobs here in the United States. And it's actually not just Ford that is particularly pursuing this trend, but U.S. automakers in general. And one reason behind that is that some of the supplies and the work that comes from out of this country is getting more expensive. And the UAW contracts that Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler have pursued with the unions here in the U.S. have gotten more affordable to the car companies, and as a result, they can employ, they say, more people here in the U.S.
Which would be great news.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Becky, thanks.
Thanks, guys.